The iPad first generation was released all the way back in March of 2010, making it 14 years old. With that said, does it still make sense to buy the first iPad in 2024? Starting off with the hardware, on the front we have the screen and the classic home button with a square inside. On the right side we find the volume buttons and the mute switch. On the left there is nothing. The bottom contains the 30-pin charging port and the speakers, and the top has the power button located on the right side and the headphone jack. Turning it over and we have the huge Apple logo, the iPad text, the storage variant, and the infamous designed by Apple in California assembled in China text. The sides and back are made of aluminum, which makes the device feel really premium, but it's also kinda slippery. It's 13.4mm thick and it weighs 680 grams, making this iPad feel slightly heavy. In terms of the display, the first generation iPad has a 9.7 inches IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1024 by 768. The aspect ratio is a 4:3, and the pixel density is 132 pixels per inch, meaning this is a non-retina display. Numbers aside, let's talk about how the screen actually feels like. It still looks better than what you'd expect. Even with the low pixel density and the resolution, videos look great and the colors are vibrant thanks to the big bezels. You can rest your fingers without worrying about interfering with the screen. Performance-wise, this iPad came with the A4 processor, the same one found on the iPhone 4, and 256MB of RAM, and it came in 3 storage variants: the base 16GB model, 32 and 64 gigs, as well as a Wi-Fi only model and the cellular model capable of 3G networking. It originally came with iOS 3.2 and got updated all the way to iOS 5.1.1. And even though the RAM on this iPad sounds low, it's still capable of running a lot of classic iOS games smoothly, like Geometry Dash, Temple Run, GTA San Andreas, Bike Race, and the list goes on. However, since the iPad 1 is very outdated, you will need to jailbreak it in order to install apps despite the App Store still working. I mean, do you really expect any app from the App Store to still be compatible with this iPad? YouTube is dead and you can't run it through Safari. iMessage shockingly still works on this iPad, and web browsing is barely doable due to how outdated this version of Safari is, and many websites like the Apple website aren't rendered properly. Now let's talk about the cameras. There aren't any. Thankfully, this is the only iPad to not come with cameras at all. You can still sync videos through iTunes, and let's face it, that's the only way to watch videos on this iPad. You can also sync music through iTunes, although I wouldn't use this device for music playback, especially considering its size. The Maps app still works. Sure, it's useless, but nonetheless, it's surprising. This iPad has a lot of color configurations. There's black and that's it. Most reviewers never talk about this issue, but many first-gen iPads suffer from boot looping, just like mine. And the reason for that is the battery can't hold a charge anymore, so you'll need to replace the battery. As for the price, I can't confirm an exact price since sometimes you can find it for $97, but the price usually goes around $20, $30, or even $40. With all of that said, is the iPad first generation still worth buying in 2024? In my opinion, it's only for collection. Otherwise, you're better off with the iPad second generation since it's a major upgrade and significantly cheaper. And if you're still here, then a sub would be greatly appreciated. Peace.